Hey everybody, welcome back to the Miniac, and we are live with the John Cooper Works Racing Team, and we have 5 drivers, including the team owner. So we have Elaine Lausier. We have Clayton Williams, Louis Perocarpi, Cristian Perocarpi, and PJ Groenke. And I want to get into this. I want to dive into this and ask Louis here. How did you manage to get? Not only are you driving car number 64, but you were position number 37.
That's funny.
And you were driving a red car, so there's a whole Patty Hopkirk reference going on here, and I just love it.
Yeah, I mean, the position 37 was thanks to me not being able to get into fourth gear during the race. So that's position 37. 64. It's the last. Our cars start at 60 and. We have 5 cars, and it was the last car we entered, and so it was a coincidence for the number 64.
It just seemed to work out. It seemed very fitting considering he passed away this year. That you had not only a chili red JCW, but it was car 64, and you were position 37. Just so many things just added up. It just seemed perfect when I saw that. I was going through the video, and I'm like, hold on a second. I backed it up and looked, and I couldn't believe it.
Well, there's so much history in Mini, right? So you'll find something in everything that we end up doing. So I guess I mean you're the expert, right? We just went racing and you put all the numbers together and all the reasons why we're there, right? So yeah, thanks for that, and it worked out that way on its own.
Yeah. So I do have a highlight reel. I am going to play it play a little bit in the background, but let's talk a little bit. Louis, you rebuilt 2 cars for this race. I know you were originally planning to rebuild them for Indy, but you decided to go ahead and run them for Sebring. And I know one of the cars has some significance for you. And it's the one that was rebuilt at the BMW plant Spartanburg.
Yeah, so that one is the one that I'm driving, and that car was damaged at Road America 2 seasons ago, and I didn't think it was repairable. It was, well, I knew it could be repaired because BMW has all the bits and pieces to build it. It was just going to be a lot easier to build a new car from scratch than to attempt to fix it. And halfway through the year, Mini USA, this year they hosted Mini Takes the States, and Mini USA wanted to have a race car at the final day in Spartanburg at the BMW University Training Center, and so I couldn't give them a race car to display. So the only car I had was this car that was, at this point. I hadn't really thrown it away because it has a lot of sentimental value to me. It's got so much history, and I built it with my own hands 8 years ago, and has a bunch of wins, and so we were just planning on building a show car out of it. And when Mini called to display a car, I sent that car over, and Rich at the training center, so you want it fixed, and I'm like, well, if that's what you want to do, yes, absolutely, fix it. So they had it for several months, mainly waiting for parts. Parts are difficult to come by these days for anything. And in that picture right there are the 4 students that rebuilt the car, right? So this is a step program that Mini BMW offers to train technicians free, by the way. So, we support quite a bit. We advertise, minidealercareers.com and STEP. And so yeah, they offered to fix it. And in that picture right there are the 4 students, plus I think there's 3 instructors that helped guide the kids, and they did an amazing job, right? So they have all the equipment, and they fixed it. And I told I was dealing with Rich over there at the training center, and I said, look, we're we're fixing one over here that we plan to run at Indy. But for us to run the cars at Indy, they needed to be done before we headed off to Sebring, because there was no time to finish by the time we got back from Sebring to make it to Indy. We load in Indy on Tuesday, so we have literally 7 days to prep the damage that we have now. So they got it done. We took delivery of the chassis a week ago Saturday. And we built it in like 3 days, and I raced that car. And then the car that we had, we took it off the chassis bench, which is the one you're showing there.
Mm-hmm.
We took that car off the bench, I don't know, about a week before we received the chassis from Spartansburg. And we had that one pretty much on wheels by the time we got the other chassis. So, yeah, I mean, it was quite a task. The guys here at the shop, we pulled, I don't know, about 33 days straight, 16-hour days, probably even longer, to get the two cars done. And you know, we know these cars inside out, right? So, I mean, I think a lot of people, even some of the guys here at the shop, was like, there's no way we can do this. And, but I knew we could. You know, we pre-built everything. So once we got the chassis, we start putting together quickly. We knew that the cars were going to be built properly with the equipment that they have at the training center. They can rebuild the car within 1 millimeter of tolerance, factory tolerance. And just FYI, you know, factory tolerance, I believe, is like 4 mil. So with this equipment, we get it 3 mil closer to perfect, you know. So and it shows, because when we bolt on a subframe, you know, they have dowel pins that go into the frame, and literally they just fall in. And you know, when we get new cars and we take them apart, sometimes we have to pry them off, so there's a little tension there. And when we rebuild a car on these chassis bench, it's literally perfect. Like, all the bits and pieces fall right in. No drama. So that makes it easier for us to build cars quickly, because it's just, you know, install the parts, bolt them on, torque them, and then what takes time is all the little details, brake lines, clips, you know, wiring, and all those little things that you don't really think about, you know. So
which is why rebuilding a car after an accident is so expensive. It's all those little pieces and everything that add up.
Yeah, and to that point, right? So on a street car, they would never repair that. You know, in my car, they replaced the entire the A pillar base, and half of the firewall, and the right front strut tower, and part of the rocker panel. So that's a major repair that you know, with the proper equipment is not that difficult, but it would be highly, you know, very costly for an insurance company. So they will just total the car, right? But for us, a race car, there's so much investment in it, the roll cage, and for me, there's so much history in the chassis that I ended up driving, and same for the chassis that Elaine drove. Like, we fixed that one in-house, and we've been trying to fix it for the last year. We've had it on the bench. If you look at the very far end of that picture right there, you see a body in white on the chassis bench right now, which will be our next new car that hopefully we'll build here as soon as we're done with Indy. We'll start building it. You know, these two cars that we put together have a lot of sentimental value to me more than anything. I think it would have been easier to rebuild or build two new cars. I can build a new car in about 10 days if I have all the parts. And but both of those cars have a ton of stories, a lot of wins. You know, it was the beginning of our race team. I built those two cars in this building 8 years ago. It was the start of our partnership with Mini USA, and you know, we've won a lot. We've been extremely successful with both of these chassis. So my goal was to have him built this year, and we really didn't have time to touch him until the last 33 days. And thanks to the STEP program and the guys at the BMW University Group back in Spartanburg, those four students and the instructors were amazing to get that car done. That's the picture there. That was a massive job, and
that would normally just total a car with that kind of damage.
Yeah, nobody would fix that.
No.
You don't fix that. But these guys fixed it perfectly within 1 millimeters of tolerance, factory tolerance, which is amazing. We put the pieces back on. We put the car in the setup, and it was good. I mean, the only issue I had all weekend long was a gearbox. We're not sure what the problem was, but I couldn't get the car into fourth gear all weekend, so that's why I ran in the back, just running laps. And
I saw you were getting surrounded by BMW M2s quite frequently.
Yeah, it was awesome because unfortunately for me, I didn't get to race anybody in our class, and that was fine everywhere else except I had no top speed because it took me about 2 seconds to shift from third to fourth. So everything that I gained in braking and cornering, I lost it down the straightaway. So, I started the first practice sessions like 15 seconds slower than the slowest car. And I think in the race, I got down to about 4 or 5 seconds, but I had no fourth gear. So, I had it, but it took forever to get it in the gear.
You also had what looked like a close call here with this video clip.
Well, that was turn 1 and practice 1 or 2. I think it was around practice 2. And I was at the end of the straightaway. I shifted into fifth. You can see it coming to braking, and I downshifted. But instead of downshifting, it went into sixth gear. And, in turn 1, you have to keep the throttle in, maintenance throttle. And, I start spinning out at, I don't know what our corner speed is at in turn 1. Does anybody know what the speed is in turn 1 at the apex?
I think it's 80, 85 maybe.
Yeah,
somewhere around there.
Yeah. So, I went into it, and as I'm approaching the apex, the rear comes. That's normal. Like, you need the throttle to maintain the cars, straight, and our cars are quite loose, and they're quite fast at high speed. But in a front wheel drive car, you have to keep throttle in, and then when it didn't go into fourth gear and I went into turn 1, I had no power to pull the car, and so as the rear end came around, I tell the guys all the time, I don't drive much, right? So in front wheel drive, I'm always telling the guys, man, you got to keep the throttle in, always point and throttle, and I had no power. You were in sixth gear, and the car wouldn't pull me out. So at that point, I'm thinking, okay, this isn't going well. I better have fast hands because I know it's going to catch, and I'm going to go the other direction here. So as soon as I felt the catching, I was right away straightening out the wheels, and I never lifted. I believe I was always wide open throttle. That's what I didn't see the data, but the guys said that they watched it, and they said that I never lifted. I don't know. I thought I did, but I knew what I needed to do. It was so quick that I was just hoping my hands were fast enough to catch it. And it did it twice, right? I caught it and it started going again, and I had no power to pull it. And so, I'm doing everything I can to keep up with the steering wheel faster than the actual slide. So yeah, that was I didn't have time to pucker up. It just all happened so quick. So but in my mind, I knew what I needed to do, and I was fortunate that I was able to keep up with it fast enough, because that's a high speed corner there, and I think that's our fastest corner. But at Sebring, it's anyway, it's bumpy too, so you're also trying to save it, and the thing's bouncing, and the wheels are coming off the ground, and so. I'm not sure you do that twice, right? Yeah. So, I like to say I was really good at it, but I just got it right, and maybe the next time I wouldn't get it right. It's one of those things.
Now, speaking of puckering moments, Elaine, you've had a few little incidents at the race that we could see on the feed. And I was hearing they were saying that you were having something you weren't quite dialed in way you wanted it to be with the car.
Well, it's just it's a learning experience for me this weekend, and obviously this step is pretty big step. Lewis and the team have fantastic cars, but their setup is actually very different than what I'm used to. So the cars are a lot more nervous. So it's a question of building the confidence to make sure that you're up to speed. And sometimes you try to shortcut a few steps, and you should be a little more careful in things. And at the end, you find the limit a little too quick, and that's what happens. So the initials. If you look at the car, the way I would have obviously preferred having a couple more sessions in order to master it, but you get into it and you do the best that you can. The tires we had initially in the practice weren't the best, so I was trying to build up a bit of confidence with the car. The car is a bit more nervous than what I'm used to, but it does what it's supposed to do and it turns when it's supposed to. It's a question of getting used to it and getting up to speed with it, and that's where I had some issues, and obviously if I'd have to do another weekend, it'd be a bit different, but it is what it is. And just
it seems like you all had some interesting encounters with Hyundais out there.
Yeah, and that's again, that's the last race at corner 7. The car wouldn't refire actually there. I didn't know what, but it looks like we broke a boost sensor when with that encounter at the back. So I was coming in with a pretty good clip trying to catch up the lead field, and I didn't know this guy wasn't necessarily the fastest, and not his fault. At the end, it's my responsibility to make sure that there's no contact, and came in a little too fast on him and basically rear-ended him, and that pretty well cost us the second race after. So
yeah, because we saw some video later where the front end was pretty bashed up.
It was pretty bashed, and I feel really bad for the guys because they put so much energy and sweat into making sure these cars were going to be proper for the race, and I pretty well destroyed their work. So they know how terrible I feel about it, and hopefully everything will be back in time. Lewis tells me it's not that big of a job to rebuild. Everything is pretty well bolt on, but I still feel very shameful about what happened, and wanted to make sure I give them a clean car when the weekend was over. Unfortunately, it was a really bad weekend when it came to that, and next time will be better.
Yep, there's always next time.
And for in Elaine's defense too, yeah. So the car is, for us to be able to go fast, it has to be loose, and to get the cars to rotate, it's front wheel drive, and we run them pretty stiff too, and to add to the nervousness that Elaine is referring to, we're at Sebring. And Sebring, even a stable car is unstable to start with because the wheels are mainly off the ground half the time going around, especially 17 and turn 1. And the other ones are all bumpy, but they're not that fast. So, we had no time. Elaine jumped in the car, never driven the car. I've driven the car a couple of times before. And, I had driven our car at Sebring too when it was even worse. So for me, the car was a little better than it was before. A couple of years ago, this car used to wander down the straightaways, and until we fixed that. And so the car, compared to what I had driven it before, it was much more stable. But between nervous, loose, bumpy, you have no grip. We do run old tires in the back, so that didn't help. Maybe we would have run a new set in the back for Elaine that had a little more grip, and without any practice might have been a little helpful. So yeah, at the end of the day, you'll have these weekends, we all do, and the repair is really just body work. I told Elaine, and he knows this car as well. We haven't touched it yet. We started working on PJ's car first, but I think tomorrow we'll start. You can see the cars in the background. PJ's is up on the second lift up in the air. It already has the engine out, and then Elaine's car is further back, sitting there waiting for us to. We'll just take off the quarter panel and the door and the fender and the hood, and we already got the new pieces there. We just have to. The longest part of the repair will be wrapping it. So and maybe putting the hood pins, drilling the holes and lighting up the hood pins. But other than that, it's easy, not a big deal. So
hats off to Clay and Cristian and PJ and Lewis. They do a fantastic job with these cars, the way these guys drive. And, you look like a young guy like Cristian who's got very little experience, and he's able to, run these things at the front end of the series, just like it's a tremendous achievement. So with the experience he has, Lewis should be very proud of him. He does a great job. Clay also in TC. So these guys are great.
And speaking of Clay, you managed to do a third place and second place finish for the weekend, so that's fantastic. Podium finishes for the team. It looked like you were battling this Honda Civic most of the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it was my first time at Sebring, so as Lewis was talking about it's definitely a tough track, very bumpy. So it took me a little bit to get up to speed in the beginning. But yeah, no, it was pretty much me and the Honda all weekend. We had a few little gremlins that with the fuel system, so we had to fight that a little bit. But overall, it was a pretty good weekend, and Kevin here in the Honda is super good to race with. So overall, it was a really good race weekend for us.
And then he also has, I'm sure he has much heavier car too compared to the Mini.
Yeah, I don't know too much about the weight side of it, but they do tend to fight heat more than we do. So anytime that I would get in front of him, you could see that he's trying to get as much air as possible. And he's fighting brakes as well a little bit. So yeah. Those are the biggest differences between us.
Now, did you guys encounter any heat issues with your vehicles overheating at all with any of your cars?
No, I think pretty much on all the cars the heat was perfect. We actually do better in the heat compared to our competition. So,
yeah, I mean, honestly, I have to say I'm quite disappointed in the season. We've always been told if you don't have anything good to say, just keep your mouth shut, but, we work really hard, right? And we build, I guarantee that the Mini is the best car in the paddock. And we have a ton of time, money, and development. This car is the same car that was racing in endurance racing before we came to the touring car. And our not only that the car is, we have the top products and dampers and diffs, and the car is 90, other than race bits that has it, it's 100% OE. We use the factory radiators, and we use Clay's car comes with 2 auxiliary radiators from factory. Our TCA cars come with 1, and we the only thing that suffer with heat is the brakes, and mainly on Clay's car because it's new and faster than the TCA cars, and we kind of had that thing sorted for Sebring, and unfortunately, the series attempts to balance all the cars equally. So when another competitor builds an inferior product, all the series just balances us out, and that's unfair, I feel, right? Because we have the better product, and we don't struggle with temps. And at Sebring this weekend, right off the bat, they lowered our power because we don't suffer with heat, and the competition did. So to make a fair game, they lowered our power to balance their what's the word I'm using? Their lack of performance in the heat, right? Yeah, their disadvantage, which is not my fault. Mm-hmm. And they got it wrong. So the new cars in TCA were extremely fast. We were 3 seconds slower, 2 seconds slower. Cristian did all he could do, and PJ, to try to stay with the guys, and they just walked us. And then, Bohm won the championship, locked the championship up, and we were at Sebring, where he should have never even been won a race because that car, I know the Honda very well, and it can't run in heat. It struggles on a 70-degree day, to perform. And here we're at 90 or 100. I don't know what it was, but it felt like we were in the desert with 100% humidity.
And didn't LAP Motorsports used to do Hondas as well?
Yeah, we had we took care of several Hondas in the other series, and so we know the cars really well. That same car, we ran that same car. So I'm really upset. We the season's over. All the Hondas locked up the championships. TCA hasn't been locked up yet, but unless something goes terribly wrong, I mean, Cristian has no chance of winning the TCA championship, and both of the new cars are fighting. The Subaru and the Honda are fighting for the championship, and it should have been the Mini and the old Honda racing for the manufacturers, for the championship this year, and the new cars coming up, slowly, but it never happened. The new cars have been untouchable. We've been just participating, not competing. And I just don't do that. Like, I mean, I most people don't know this, but this is my house. I don't know what my bed looks like. I've been here for 33 days straight, 35 days straight, working 16 hours a day, making sure we have the better product, which we do. Mm-hmm. And we get to look at their taillights all the time because of it. So it's not fair for Mini USA. Their product is the best product. You can't compare a Mini to a Honda.
No, you can't. No.
And here we are getting our things handed to us, right? Because the balance has to be, balanced because they have an inferior product, right? Yeah. So I'm upset. Sometimes I feel like we'll go somewhere else, but we want to race at the highest level, and this is how it is. And we'll after next week we'll take the cars apart, build them up again, and show up with the best product in the paddock. Whether we can win, we got the best drivers, and all the drivers, right? So anybody that comes here has won with us, I can't say I'm happy,
Yeah.
I'm disappointed for Cristian because coming into the season, Cristian and Clay, right? Because I knew both of those guys that had a shot at a championship. We had a shot at the manufacturers championship, and we were taken out from the first race of the season, right? Like we had no shot at it, and it never got corrected. And yes, we dominated Road America, but that we weren't the fastest cars. The new cars were still faster. They just gave us the wins, right? So.
Well, you can definitely say that regardless of the outcome, you have fans with Mini USA, you have fans in the Mini community, so it doesn't matter if a Honda wins it. If a Honda wins at Indy, it doesn't matter because the Mini fans are still going to be the ones cheering for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I mean, I said it. Everybody knows how I feel. Mm-hmm. The guys here know how much I work and my passion for racing. Period. Not just the Mini, but just. I'm a competitor, I'm not a sore loser. When I lose a race to somebody that really deserves a win and works hard to win, but I am a sore loser when they're winning and it's really given to them. That just really hurts me the wrong way. Mm-hmm. But Kevin did a great job. He was flawless all year. Nothing against Kevin. Just I struggle with the car and the BOP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, Cristian, I was told that you almost literally drove the wheels off your car this weekend.
Yeah, I guess we had this weird wheel stud failure once again. We had one in Sonoma that resulted in a DNF, and coming pretty much with 2 laps to go, I felt a little bit of a vibration pretty much the whole race, but that's kind of normal, like with tire pickup, and once the faster cars come to pass you, you kind of go in the marbles. So I'm like, oh, it's just marbles. it's not that big of a problem. But pretty much with 2 laps to go, I come into turn 17, and I have no brakes, and I'm I nearly totaled the car. Like, I nearly crashed the car. I have no brakes. I get to the straightaway, and the whole car is shaking, the steering wheel shaking. I go into the first corner. I have brakes again, luckily. And then I get to turn 7. And I definitely knew there was a problem. And every corner I turned right, I would have no brakes because the wheel would shake so bad that it would shake the pads away from the rotor.
Mm-hmm.
So any right-hand corner, I have no brakes. So I'm kind of putting around, and at that point we were 4th with a very comfortable lead, which really we needed to finish 4th in race 2 to help us solidify that 3rd in the championship. And I had to concede to go to 6th place. Unfortunately, we still beat a number of competitors, which shows our product's really good. With only 2 wheel studs, we can still beat the Hondas and the Elantra and stuff like that. So,
well, I'll tell you what, I have a bag full of wheel studs that I never used for my car. I'll bring them with me in case you guys need them this coming weekend.
Yeah, and it's a little unfortunate, right? This weekend we showed really good pace in practice, but not crazy. Like we were just right there, and it's scary. It's scary in SRO, and I think a lot of drivers, even on other teams, can agree with me on this. It's scary to show your pace because really it seems like SRO has no I don't know, logic behind the BOP. There's no real logical sense behind how they do the BOP. They say, oh, wow, your car's, a little bit fast. Here's 50 pounds. Like in other series, you're going to have, okay, this is how well this driver is racing. This is how the car goes. And they have they kind of have an equation to do it. And SRO really, in the past 2 or 3 years, have failed to prove that they have an adequate way to do BOP, and a lot of people agree with me. And I'm not trying to bash the series, but it's really unfortunate that for the past 2 years, definitely, they've left. Last year, they let the Veloster run away with the championship. They BOP'd the crap out of the Honda, and the Honda, I don't want a Honda, but you can definitely tell you want a close race at the end of the year, and they BOP'd the crap out of Carter Fartuk last year, and he had nothing at the end. He was a 6th place car. This year, the Honda and the Subaru ran away. The Honda got caught doing something. I don't know what it was. And the Subaru has never showed its hand. And luckily this weekend, the Veloster was quick, which was able to just push the Subaru to its full potential to really show the series, hey, this is what this car's capable of. So they know going into Indy what they can do. But it really sucks. Like I told the guy that does the BOP, he took us out of a championship in both series. Like you can't run a series. That's how people lose their jobs. If people are unhappy with you, you're going to lose your job. And it seems like they're not doing their job the right way. So we started 2nd in race 1 because the pole sitting car blew an engine. And we did a really good lap. Like the lap we set would have been lap record last year, but the pole lap was a 27, and we did a 30. And like a 30 is really unheard of at Sebring in a TCA car. So yeah, it was a really unfortunate weekend. Hopefully for Indy, they can fix what they've done at Sebring, and hopefully next year they have something better. Maybe they bring in a new person. I don't know. Like I feel for everybody in the series because I think it's unjust what has been going on definitely this year. Like it's definitely unfair. Like I get it if you're trying to show off a new car. Yeah, but like don't let it run away. Like people aren't going to come. People don't want to race. People have pulled out already this year. People want to pull out this year because the BOP has been so unjust to every single car. So
I think there needs to be a better system. I mean, I think that the data and all that is fine. The intention is well, right? But the series wants to equal all the cars to each track. So the BOP gets changed track by track, and and cars are just not the same. Everybody, the different aero, different wheelbase, different drivers. It's just really difficult. When we were racing in a different series, they also were, it was interesting because when we came in as a new car, they said we have no data, and they didn't do a BOP test. They said, look, this is what we have from your car. We're going to give you this weight. This is where we're going to start. And I'm going to be honest with you right now. You won't be competitive for most of the season, is what they told me. Good luck. And funny enough, we didn't get much BOP change. The Mini didn't get much BOP change in that other series most of the season. And we were struggling with brakes. And then so every weekend we go, look, we need more power. And he goes, no, you're really slow on the brakes. And back then they didn't let us use our Brembo brakes. We had to use the little Cooper S brakes. And, it took us most of the season to convince them that we needed brakes. And it wasn't until we crashed into the leader at Sebring, actually. And unfortunately, the leader was in a Honda Civic, and he's a good friend of mine. And I think he got a concussion from that race, and he has never raced again. And, things like that, those are also bad things, right? Because sometimes nobody wants to do anything until somebody gets hurt. And then, okay, let's do something about it, right? Mm-hmm. And we had been complaining about brakes. And anyway, we got the brakes. But the series said, look, no, you need to do this. It's kind of like my issue with the, cars losing power because they get hot, right? Mm-hmm. If I was in IMSA and I said, look, we were losing power because we decided to put some race radiator in the cars when we first built them instead of using the OE stuff. And we couldn't get the cars to run cool. And man, we spent tons of money going to NASCAR and all these, CNR radiators and all these, $1,000, super modified custom radiators, and nothing cooled the car down. And it was funny because it wasn't until we were heading, we were waiting for one more radiator from this company, and it was like load up day, and it shows up and the thing doesn't fit. And we had no radiator for this one car. We ran 3 cars. The other cars still were running whatever custom radiator we were running. And the third car, we didn't have a radiator. We didn't even have the one that we were running. So, I told my business partner, who's our lead engineer, and I said, Rob, we'll just have to run the JCW Rad kit, the OE stuff. And we did. And we go to Coda, which was hot. And that car was the only car that never got over 225 degrees. And we were running at 238 all season long, even at a cool day. So from that day on, right, we figured out that the best thing for the Mini was the OE stuff. And this is where I get upset about it, right? We spent thousands of dollars, hours of track time, bunch of data. We talked to the best guys in racing and radiators. And at the end of the day, the BMW Mini product stock is amazing. Mm-hmm. It's built to race, and it's what they sell and what drives on the street.
Yeah, what you buy right out of the showroom is ready to go, basically. Yeah.
And I know the Honda struggles with the heat, and they have all kinds of aftermarket stuff and hood and they really, I've said this before, it's not a cooling thing, it's an engine design thing because they run the exhaust manifold internally inside the head, so it's just too much. It's fine for the street, but it's not adequate for racing. So they're on the limit already, But anyway, so that's where I get upset, right? Why do we get penalizing for running OE stuff that's amazing? Go buy a Mini. Don't go buy a Honda or a Hyundai. Go buy a Mini. You'll never have a problem. Mm-hmm. Actually, what's number one in reliability or service or whatever?
I know Mini's up there. It's on the top.
It's on the top, and it's been number one for several years now. The F series car with a 2-liter turbo, which is in all the Mini products, mm-hmm. is absolutely amazing. Mm-hmm. I just don't know what else to say. People, if you don't buy a Mini, it's because you don't like the look of the Mini. But if you're gonna buy a Mini, obviously it's the classic look, but the product is absolutely amazing. super
did you-
reliable. We beat the hell out of these things.
Yeah. Now, did you start when you started the team? You started it after they had redesigned the car.
We started with the launch of
Yeah.
the F56.
So you never had any experience with the N cars then, like Elaine.
No.
I'm sure you've had experience.
Elaine has a lot of experience with that. Yes.
With the N engines.
Yeah, we have a few cars in the field, and part of our success has also been to make sure that we modify very few parts, because the most reliable car on the field has always been the Mini, and our success has been based on always running the factory stuff, and that's what makes it work. And if you look at our Japanese competitor and everything, and same with Lewis, these engine and these transmissions are pretty well bulletproof. So unless something stupid happens, then they'll last and they'll last. The Japanese engines, they're basically consumable. So every few races, they have to replace them. Lewis this weekend was actually running a leftover engine from his IMSA days that he had to replace, because you say, well, it's been running so many hours, maybe we should do it. And that's what he used in this car. And the performance was absolutely equal to all the other cars. And that's the beauty about the Mini product. They're all equal. So.
And I mean, people always make the arguments like, oh, once it hits high mileage, it's going to start falling apart. I know someone I can't remember what country, but he has a 3-cylinder turbo F56 Cooper, and I think it has almost 500,000 miles on it, and it's still going. I think he's on his second clutch, and there was one or two other things he's had to fix, but most of the parts, I think it's like 98% of the parts are all original in that engine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's still running strong. So that says something about the durability of the B series engines that BMW and Mini have built for these cars. They are really, and I had a Cooper S, F56 Cooper S JCW with the appearance package, tuning kit, everything. And I drove that sucker until about 105,000 miles, and I traded it in. And the guy who bought it now, he actually went out and autocrossed it with his Porsche club and had a blast. And he said that everyone thought it was just one of the most fun cars out there.
Yeah. Well, I can even say I've raced everything, from Volkswagen to Honda to Saab to anything under the sun. And I've never, Toyota, Subaru, I've never driven a race car that you can go out every session, beat the living hell out of it, and it will take it and still perform the same. Mm-hmm. It's the best product I've ever sat my butt in terms of a race car. And it's just incredible to have that confidence in the reliability and the performance, BOP aside, is unreal. I've never been able to do that with any other race car, and it's just a testament to Mini and the brand and the product and the reliability. I've never had it this good, so it's really, really cool to be in that car.
Yeah.
And PJ, I know you didn't I didn't find any highlights for you this weekend, so it was pretty kind of a slow weekend, or as usual.
It was more lowlights than highlights, unfortunately. Cristian was fast, which was awesome. I was fourth in second practice. Qualifying traffic held me up a bit, so I qualified ninth. Had a wicked start in the first race, went from ninth to fourth. I was actually side by side with one of the Hyundai Velosters through turn 3, and then he completely closed the door on me in turn 4 and sent me into the tire barrier. Dropped me back down to 13th. I recovered back to 9th, which was still a hard blow to take, especially coming off of the weekend we just had at Road America, where we know we're better than this. We know Mini's better than this. The Mini JCWs are the best car in the grid. We just got a little bit hand-tied this weekend with the BOP. Started the second race, and actually in that I set the 6th fastest lap, so I started 6th in the second race. Had a great start again. I've somehow figured out how to get really good starts in the Mini, which is amazing. Got up to 4th, dropped back to 5th, and then I had a complete brain fart moment heading into turn 1 on, I think, lap 7 or something like that. And I completely blew a shift, which is the reason why Lewis is still at the shop replacing the engine in the car, and I'm very apologetic.
So
embarrassed.
You had a money shift, basically.
Sorry for that. Yeah, I blew it. And if I mess up, I'm going to admit it, and I effed up. So it's one of those weekends. You have them all the time. No one's perfect, but with my amount of seat time in a car, I expect better of myself, and I'm very competitive. I'm very hard on myself. So I'm very proud to be a part of the Mini JCW team, and I hate letting them down. It really wears on me. So we'll make it up at Indy.
I'm sure you will. So
Yeah.
I do have some comments in here from some folks. David Patterson said, "Can't believe I'm finally making one of the live streams." Dale Klaus says, and I hope I pronounced his name, "Hey gang, sending you luck from Portland. Grab more hardware and podiums."
Hey, Dale.
Hey, Dale.
Thank you, Dale.
Yeah. Regan says, "What's up?"
Hey, Regan.
Hey, Regan.
What's up, Morton?
So Regan works with, helped. He's a great part of the family here, and he came over. He used to come every weekend to work with us, and when I knew I was gonna drive, I called him up and I said, "Hey, why don't you be the mechanic on my car this weekend?" And he did. He's awesome. I love the guy. And what's up, Regan? Thanks for coming and hanging out. Sorry I was running in the back of the pack, but I had a blast. So, and I was so happy that you were working on my car.
David Patterson posted another thing. "I love watching you guys race. Any chances of video from the driver perspective on any races with telemetry if it's not proprietary?"
I actually, if you go to my YouTube, there's footage from Indy last year, and then there's Watkins Glen and Road America and VIR from this year. And Watkins Glen and Road America have a little bit of telemetry that you can see: speed, throttle position, brake, G's, stuff like that. So it's definitely the first race at Road America is a good one to watch. It was a battle the whole race.
Yeah.
And Mini ended up on top where it belongs. So
Yeah.
And David, if you're curious, I have the I think the link for Christian's channel is in the description of this live stream, so you should be able to find it, click on it, and go watch those videos where he has telemetry and everything. I think I even have PJ's in there as well. Clay, do you have I've asked you before.
I do not.
He doesn't have a YouTube. We got to work on that.
I will. I'll work on it for next year.
Yeah.
And Elaine, do you have a YouTube presence at all?
We actually have some on Vimeo. We haven't posted recently, but you should be able to find us there. We can post the link later. Yeah.
And everyone's Instagrams are streaming along the bottom here. So if you want to check out their Instagram posts and Instagram stories, whatever they happen to post, I know that a lot of them are pretty active on Instagram, so you're sure to see something up there. We got another comment. Pedro says, "Enjoy watching this."
Hey, Pedro.
And what's this? Tanine McGarvey, fastest lap in both races. So that was a comment from previous message or previous thing we were talking about. John Vermicelli, awesome job, guys. Tanine then responds, "They had a great group of fans at Sebring. Mini clubs came on Sunday."
They did.
Yeah.
Nice to see them.
It was cool. They're actually on the parade laps. I think there was more minis out there than anything else, which was so cool to see.
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping they can do that at Indianapolis. I know I'll be one of the minis out there. So
I can't wait to see your car.
Awesome.
Well, you'll probably hear it coming. You just won't pop and crackle like as loud as the old cars did, since it's a new one.
So
the race cars pop and crackle a lot.
Oh, I love that
They
sound.
do.
I wish my car did that. It's like, can we just pull my engine out and pop in another engine?
And kind of like the race cars, the good explanation for inside, it sounds like firecrackers going off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I did hear from someone. Someone had asked someone from Mini if they were going to ever bring back the loud pops and crackles on the minis, and they said because of California's sound ordinances, they weren't going to be doing it.
Yeah, it's Clay. It's Clay's fault.
Don't go there.
It's always my fault.
It's not just Clay's fault. Apparently, Europe is having the same thing. Because if you go over to Asia, the cars pop and crackle like crazy still.
I mean, I hear cars popping and cracking all the time here, so I don't know.
Maybe it's not just cars there.
Yeah.
Maybe not. David Patterson did comment about the engines. They're great. He did make a comment said, except the engine mounts.
So that's funny, right? Because I hear that there's a lot of engine mounts issues. We've, the amount of race miles we've had, we've never had to change one. So I am shocked. So, and I'm not saying they don't, because I've heard from the technicians that they change a lot of engine mounts, but we've never, the only time we've changed one is when we crash a car and the engine almost falls out.
Yeah.
But I'm shocked that there's so much engine mount issues, because we've never had one.
Yeah, my JCW, my Cooper S with the JCW tuning kit, when I bought that car, it actually had a blown upper engine mount. They had to replace the mount. My first Mini, though, my R53, you could always tell when the engine mounts failed in those, because when you accelerated, you hear a clunk as the engine rocks back.
Yeah.
Well,
It was
Clay's car, when it came as a street car, I don't know if you remember, Dad, it had a blown upper engine mount.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
because the only reason we knew is because the gel leaks out of it, or whatever the fluid they put in it. So we got the car.
How new was the car?
Well, it was not new. The car had
117,000 miles.
The car has 100,000+ miles on it.
Holy smoke! So it's an old one.
So it shows even more of how good the brand is.
Wow. Was it like a retired demo car or something?
No, it was
just bought it at a used car lot
from California.
Wow, you guys need a JCW for a race car, so you just go to the used car lot, pick up one.
You probably could even go to a salvage car lot, and it would still just be as good.
Well, if I had known this, I would have sold you guys my 2017 Cooper S. You could have used it as a race car. It already had the body kit; it was ready to go.
Right.
So Tanine says, "Love you, PJ."
Yes.
Charles Schuster says, "Proud to be a part of this team. We got one more, so let's go get him."
Charles. So Charles is a volunteer. He goes to IUPUI and he's studying mechanical motorsports engineering.
Wow.
We have Brian, who's they're good friends, and he's classmates. So we have two young guys from IUPUI here in Indianapolis in the motorsports program, engineering program. And those guys work their butt off here at the shop with me. They're volunteers, so they come after class. In this last 30 days, they were here after class, and we were here until midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning sometimes. And so these guys are going to end up being amazing engineers after spending some time and hard work with us. I know they will, and hopefully they were learning some our passion and so we're very, very grateful to have them be part of the team. And like Charles said, we got one more race next weekend, and hopefully they'll stay and continue for next season too.
And also adding on to what Dad was saying, I was telling a lot of people this weekend how good our team really is. We're all pretty much mechanic-wise 19. I think it's pretty much probably an average age of 20 years old. So we're all 19 or 20 or 21. And then Tony, I don't know how old Tony is, but we're all pretty young. So I was just telling people, like, we've had a lot of success this year, and we're not really even old enough to drink the champagne that we get. So I think teams need to be worried if they're getting beat by teenagers. What's going to happen when we're all more mature? So
it's going to be really interesting in the next. I'm looking forward to seeing what the next 10 years has to bring for you guys when it comes to these races. I think there's going to be a lot of fun stuff to come. Matt Sayer shout out from Mini Canada.
Nice.
Just so you guys know, Matt is actually director for Mini Canada. So thanks for watching.
Awesome.
Yes.
So that is awesome. To get a shout out to get him on here. That's fantastic.
That's
so
awesome.
great to hear from Mini Canada.
Oh, cool.
We have someone I think I recognize his screen name from Instagram, Jukeson03. Where's the rest of the gang on this stream? Hey Charlie, hey Regan.
So who's that? Is that Jackson?
That's
Jackson's one of our
crew guys.
one of my childhood
Jackson
friends, and
Jackson is
one of our
Christian's best friend from high school, and he graduated high school last year. And I've known Jackson since he's like 13 years old, so he's like one of my other kids. And I beat him up quite a bit because I want him to be good, so I push him to the limit all the time. And I'm pretty picky and kind of anal on all the stuff. So I yell at him a lot, but he's been doing a great job, and so he spent those 33 days here with me.
Wow.
Building cars. He built both of our cars basically with Nevin. Nevin just left. You saw it was before we went live, but you guys saw him wash his hands after he took out PJ's engine. So he had just left right before we went live. And Nevin just graduated from high school this year, and he's going to Ivy Tech for automotive. And so we have a bunch of young guys. And Cristian mentioned Tony. Tony is not a young guy. But he looks 10, 20 years old, younger than he really is. He's awesome. Tony is he's got a mini race car, first generation, I think it is. And he's from Wisconsin. He's been racing, and he when he found out about the team in our IMSA days, reached out and said, man, can I volunteer at Road America? I race a mini, whatever. And Tony's been a part of our racing family for now going on 8 years. And he also volunteers. He takes time off of work to come to the races, and he's our crew chief, and does an amazing job there's such good chemistry, right? So like not only the product, but like we have an open door policy. We receive everybody. We don't, even if we're competing, we have no secrets. Nobody races a mini. I'm proud to show our product, and we welcome everybody, and we have a great chemistry. Like I was saying, there's a lot of passion in the team, young guys, a couple of old guys, and we just love to compete. Like we want to compete, and if we get beat, we know we got to get better. We got to work harder. So yeah, it's an amazing group of guys. I'm just so proud to have everybody, and that goes with the drivers too. We've loved PJ since we've raced against him, and Elaine and I have been friends from the beginning of my race team, and then he built an F56 also and came to racing IMSA a couple of times. And most people don't know this, but the orange car that PJ drives belongs to Elaine. So Elaine lends us his car, and kind of cool story. We've talked about this before, but I needed a fourth car, and Elaine didn't have anywhere to race it really. He had built it to run in endurance racing, and he has his other cars, right? His previous generation that he races very successfully. And I reached out to Elaine. It's like, man, I need to borrow a car. Can I borrow your car? He goes, yeah, come and get it. No, just come and get it. And so he goes, oh, by the way, this weekend when you come up here, it's the 50th anniversary of Three Rivers. You should just test drive the car there and race it. So I did, and funny thing is, I was leading the first race late at night in the rain, and I've talked about this before. The two leaders of the bigger classes were coming up behind me. I could only see one car, and we went into Elaine. What turn is it?
At the end of the straight, I can't remember the number, but after the fast straight, the 90 degree. So yes.
Yeah. And so I gave space to the Audi R8. And we went in together. Well, the Ferrari in the bigger class decided to outbrake us into that corner, and we were already turning in. And he ping ponged off the inside wall and hit the Audi, and the Audi hit me and put me in the tire wall. So all three leaders of each class went out all together in that corner from the race.
Wow.
And we only broke a lower control arm, and I took Bridget with us. She used to work with us. She works for IndyCar now, and she changed the control arm, and I think I was on pole, or on the front row for the second race anyway, and I just killed everybody that race in the second race. And so I loaded a winning car into the trailer. We drove it down here, and then our guys raced it, and that car's been extremely successful with Tomas Mejia that first year. And then I think last year it sat most of the year. We didn't have anybody driving it. And then Cristian, we took the car cover out a year ago, I asked Elaine, it's like, look, I put my kid in the car. He did really well at Sebring. And I think Elaine actually reached out to me and said, like, man, if you want to use a car for Indy, I'm all in. Go, put him in on my car. And then Cristian ran really well at Indy, So, and then PJ came along, and so it's a Canadian car with a Canadian driver. And Elaine again reached out and said, hey, you should put PJ in the car, and here we are. The car's been amazing, so that's the story with the orange car. The owner is right above me. I don't know if that's what we're seeing here, but and then Elaine reached out. It's like, hey, you have a car for Indy. It's like, well, I don't have a car for Indy, but if I do have a car for Indy for somebody else, I will have it for Sebring. You want to come to Sebring? And it's like, I'm in, right? So a big curve there, a learning curve, and this past weekend, and so we have a great time, a great group of guys. Everybody that comes and drives, I think, leaves, always wants to come back, because not only that we're racing minis, but everybody loves to be with us, and we love to have everybody, and we just have a great time.
You're stuck with me now. I hope you know that.
Yeah, I knew that. We talked about it this weekend.
So we do have a few more. We have lots of comments and questions coming.
All right, let's do it.
David Patterson did say, have so many questions. Is there mini challenge UK type car potential in any US racing? And I know, Lewis, you said that you're the only one who can build the JCW racing cars in the US.
Well, to compete in SRO. So, so to race at the highest level touring car, which is an SRO TC America, you have to buy the car, from me. The mini challenge, the UK mini challenge is quite different. It's got a sequential gear, but the latest generation has a sequential gearbox, and it's not quite 100% OE like ours. No. I'm not sure it's faster than ours. We've never compared them, and there's no point in comparing them. That's a different class.
I found some videos of the vehicles. They are apparently they're built in Munich, so they're probably more BMW than Mini.
Yeah, I mean, it's built. I know the guys that build it. They're great guys. When we were building our cars, we reached out to them to talk to them a little bit about it, because they were building the F56 also, and but they built a totally different car. The challenge car wouldn't fit in any pro racing here in the U.S. It's actually built for the spec, mini challenge class, right? So, there's no comparison between our cars. Our cars are for sure more OE, but the OE product is quite fast as it is.
I think what's quite interesting also is, if we can add on top of that, Lewis, is that the Canadian series is going to run TCA next year, and obviously they have to reach out to Lewis if they want to get a car built. But it's interesting to know that Lewis can build a car if anybody else is interested in running TCA, whether it's in the US and Canada. So maybe it's not an aspect that everybody knows, but those cars will be available if someone wants to do something, right, Lewis?
That's correct. Yeah. So the series in Canada announced that they're going to run TCA.
Wow,
they're going to run this.
It's expanding. They're crazy.
They wanted to do exactly what the TC America is doing here. So the 3 brands that are homologated, 3 or 4 brands that are homologated here in the US and TCA are the homologated cars that has to run in the Canadian series. And so if anybody wants to run a mini, they have to get it from me. If they want to run a different brand, they got to reach out to the factories.
Wow.
More to come.
Yeah.
So Carlos says, sending you best wishes for Indy from Vancouver, Canada, and fellow mini racer.
Carlos is actually one of our team members. He's raced with us and helped us clinch the championship this year in Super Production Challenge. So hats off to you, Carlos. Great driver. And look at what we're doing here, because you don't know this yet, but you'll be doing a few races with us next year with Lewis and his team.
Well, that'll be cool. Hi, Carlos, and I look forward to meeting you here soon.
And we got Rick C. Hi, Lewis. Watching the minis race are always exciting. I'm always on the edge of my seat. It's obvious that they're the faster car. Too bad they're always hit by BOP.
Yeah. Hey, Rick. How's it going? I haven't seen Rick in a while, but, thanks. I know you're always supporting, yeah, I mean, it is what it is, that's the reason why nobody wants to show their hand. And, unfortunately we are very transparent. We don't sandbag. We always are driving as fast as we can. And maybe it's not the way to do it, but I just don't want to play like other teams or other manufacturers do. That's just not in my DNA,
Jukson comes back in again. All these cities are installing gunshot detection technology in neighborhoods, and there's all these minis driving around in sport mode.
There must be a lot of minis in Indy because we have a lot of stuff going on here lately.
Oh my gosh, that's gonna be fun. Actually, I have a friend who has 2 minis. If you ever seen them, and for those of you who aren't aware on YouTube watching this, if you've ever seen the pictures of the crazy roadster and the crazy coupe with the gigantic hood scoop and the big wings, I know the owner of the car. He's a friend of mine. When you drive those things, it sounds like firecrackers going off. They just pop and bang and crackle like crazy. It's just the most hysterical thing.
That's awesome.
We got Blaine coming in here. Any plan on the team racing on the Cooper SE, or does Mini plan on transitioning to EV racing in the future?
Oh, actually, mentioning the Cooper SE, Mini has lent us 2 cars to do some hot laps for, I think, Clay and I, or PJ and Clay, or whatever driver combo, to do some hot laps at Indy. And I have actually, they had to take parts off of my street car to finish the race cars. So I have been driving the Cooper SE, and it's actually a pretty impressive car, other than like the range. The range is the only thing that I find a little bit irritating. Other than that, it drives exactly like a Mini, and it drives the same, and it's awesome through a corner. The power that you get through a corner is probably, I think it's better than probably the GP3 or even the JCW, because it's just max torque right away.
Yeah.
It's faster than JCW.
Yeah.
So tell me about these hot laps.
I don't know. Dad has more information, but I think we have 2. So Clay will probably get to drive one around on the street, and PJ can drive one around on the street. So hopefully we get some good reviews. See how normal non-mini people that race minis but drive.
Well, if you want some camera help with that, I'll have all my GoPro equipment with me. I have a new vlogging stick for my GoPro. So
yeah. So just to touch on the SE or electric, we all know that electric is the future.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's moving in that direction. It's not that easy. It's going to take some time. The charging is an issue. Formula E has been doing now this for several years, and slowly everybody wants to go electric. So we with Mini USA, we've had that conversation. We know that that's the direction in the future. We don't know the timeline, because I don't know. I mean, it's going to be a big job to race electric for anybody. So, but we're starting with some hot laps. Eventually, I'm sure we'll get a car in house and do some sort of events, some short events. I don't know. We've talked to SRO. They know that. We know that they're very interested, and they would. They do want to go electric. They know it's also in the future. It's just they don't want to do, and I'm with them. They don't want to have a ton of diesel generators charging electric cars. So that's not the ultimate. The goal is to go electric racing properly. So that's going to take time. Figure out charging technology. For us is learning the car and collecting the data. So we're going to start with some hot laps next year. I'm sure we'll do more, and then we'll see how we can, move forward with it. But it's a long-term thing, more in a couple of years. And yeah, we'll see. I know that there's a hill climb SE Mini in Europe.
Yep, running. I did some videos on that. It's called the Mimi Evo.
Yeah. So, and that's perfect because those are short runs, right? So that's easy to do, and yeah, and we'll do something similar. We don't know what it is yet, but yeah, that's in the plans, and we know that that's the direction that the racing future is going to go. But for meantime, we're just going to keep kicking some butt out there with our existing cars.
Well, you'll be pleased to know I did hear from a source with corporate that JCW is not going to be going electric immediately. They're going to be staying internal combustion for quite some time.
Elaine might know more about than we do, so maybe he can't say, but
I'd have to kill you, unfortunately. But just to further on what Cristian was saying, my daily driver is a Cooper SE electric, and I just love this thing. It's so nice to drive in the city environment, and with 120 miles or so of range, over 200 kilometers here in Canada this time of the year. It's perfect, and probably for 95% of what I do with the car. Obviously, if I have to go out of town and do some business visits and things like that where it's further away, well, it may not be perfect. But if you have another car in the family, I can swear to you that if you have two cars in the Mini SE is the car you're going to spend the most time on and do the most miles on, because it's such a pleasant car to drive. So I love it. I wouldn't drive anything else.
And to add too, for me, all the electric cars just are ugly, other than, maybe the Tesla has a little bit of a sporty look, but
I'm not even a fan of the Tesla. I think that thing looks like something my 9-year-old nephew could draw.
but the Mini SE is the hardtop, man. It's like, like, I mean, if you're into a sporty car and you want to have an electric, like, you can just change some wheels and make it, nobody would even know it's electric, so it's kind of awesome. I think that's one of the biggest things about the Mini SE is just it doesn't look electric, so it has all the other stuff that goes with it.
Tanine wants to know, Cristian, what's up with with Miniverse?
Oh my gosh, they posted the video about it, so it's live, I believe. We were supposed to do a live stream, but Meta was running into some issues, so it should be live on Mini's page. I think they did something about it yesterday, so I'm trying to get in there. I'll probably get in there tonight and try to set a good lap time, so anybody else that tries to hop on can try to beat it.
Rick says best team in the paddock.
Agreed.
100%.
Hey, Rick.
Hi, Rick.
So Rick is the best friend in the paddock too. So Rick is he's part of our family. He's been with us from almost the beginning, and I mean, the weekends are not the same without him. We're gonna miss him at Indy. He's got some family events going on, so he can't come. But hey, Rick, have fun next week or this week. I know but yeah, thanks, Rick. We love you, man.
Yeah, Rick's awesome. Rick's been there since I was a kid, so it's definitely it's kind of like the same thing with Regan. I spent a lot of my teenage years at the track with Regan. Just, I don't know, I've learned a lot of stuff from both of those guys in life because I spent so many my teenage years at the track, and they were always there. So it's nice to have familiar faces at the track.
Yeah.
Nelson Chan says, go, 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 Mini.
Nelson's one of my driver. Actually, Nelson drove this year with us and won the championship in Canadian Super Production Challenge.
Awesome.
Yeah, unfortunately, he had to miss the last event because we had a little testing crash and he had a little injury. But teammate Carlos, because the point structure is made in Canada, was able to take over, and actually they both won the championship with the car. So thanks, Nelson. Great drive, and we're looking forward to bring you to the U.S. next year.
Looking forward to that too.
Rick C says we're big Mini supporters. Can't wait for 2023. That means more races to attend.
Hey, Rick.
Richard Allerton. Hi, Lewis. Thank you for giving a shout out for our training center in Spartanburg, South Carolina. The students and the instructors work to get this car to Sebring.
Yeah, I'm sorry we had transmission problems because I was really looking to go move this car up front. I mean, but we'll get it fixed and we'll try it at Indy. Rick's coming to Indy with his family, so get to see it up, live.
Can we ask Richard if he wants to fix an R56? We could send him one.
That's right. We Now that we know he can fix cars, he might be getting a lot of race cars here in the future. You know,
Blaine popped in here, said the range is low on the current ones, but there's supposedly the range on the next gen is supposed to be about 248.
Yeah, that'd make it a lot more convenient. I think it's just I think it's great for its initial purpose, but I think when they extend the range, it'll be that perfect car. The nice thing is like I don't have to think about spending money on gas, so I don't know how Elaine feels about that, but it is nice driving home and not having to be like, oh, what is the gas price today as you drive past the gas station. So,
What do we got here? ICTM3 posted, "Yep, gunshot detectors here in Portland, Oregon. Can't wait to do some pedal lifting next to one with my JCW."
that's awesome. Just don't go to jail.
Yeah.
Pop, pop, pop. Mr. 2 picked up my brand new JCW 2-door hatch last week from the dealer here in Sydney, Australia. It's my third JCW.
Wow.
that's awesome.
Australia.
Australia.
Hey, Australia.
Wow.
I love
Amazing.
Australia.
Yeah.
He said the sad part of the new Mini is the run-in period, keeping it below 4,500 RPM.
Is there a run-in?
Running period.
Break-in period.
No,
No?
just go pedal to the metal. That's
Yeah.
what we do.
Drive it like you stole it.
All I was ever told when I bought my car was for the first 1,000 miles, keep it under 100.
So
Miles per
I'll
hour.
tell you what our running period is. We put a brand new engine in it, and we just make sure the water's in the radiator, and the slowest it would go will be going down pit lane. Once you go there, it's 6,000 RPM all the way, baby. We've never had a problem.
Rick C. or Tawneen said to Rick C. TC America just posted the updated 2023 schedule today.
There you go.
So we'll be able to find it. We'll be able to know where everyone's going next year. And then David Patterson said to Mr. 2, "I've never done that on either of the two F56 track cars I've had." Shrug. So I think David here is a races minis as well.
Well, we just changed the running procedure for a brand new Mini.
To which Mr. 2 replied, "Okay, I will rip that page out of the owner's manual then."
Perfect.
Elaine would know why it's there. Why is it there, Elaine?
I didn't even know there was running period, to be honest. So I can say that I, for one, have never observed one, but don't repeat that to Matt, who's still there.
Good idea.
That's awesome.
Mr. 2 pops in here. What is he? Okay, yeah. Oh, we got one. Jukeson popped in again. I asked Lewis how the new engine was going to be broken in. He said it will go on track.
Perfect.
That's it.
There you go. David says he does HPDE only for now.
That's good. That's
Perfect.
good, man.
From HPDE, there's some mini teams in Champ Car. I think that'd be the great.
You might want to talk to Elaine about,
Yes.
the next step, right?
Yeah.
I think Elaine's team is the perfect next step from there, and then
I'm building a car right now. I think Trump car.
Yeah, we're building a Champ car. I've had this old Cooper S that's been sitting in the shop for a while, and when we build our JCW car, sometimes we start with Cooper S parts and everything, and they get discarded to be replaced with JCW. So we have all these leftover parts. We've figured be the best way to make sure we clear up the shelf. So we're building a Cooper S for Champ car. So hopefully it'll be ready at some point at the end of the year.
There you go, David. Reach out to Elaine.
Yeah.
and then from Champ Car you can go to a TC America race. So
Yeah.
you never
There you
know.
go.
I heard that, Elaine.
Sorry. I can't undo that now.
Well, that's what happens when you have a director from Mini Canada on the live
That's
stream.
awesome.
So you can't keep any secrets from them. I'm sure people from Mini USA are watching this too right now. They're just not commenting.
Yeah, they're not worried. The product is amazing. Like, it doesn't matter, right? Like,
Yeah.
those procedures are, run-in procedures are something that's been out there forever. At the end of the day, new technology seats itself immediately. There's not a problem. I mean, I'm pretty sure I've never been to the factory where when they roll a brand new car off, but I think it goes on a dyno right away. And I'm pretty sure they don't keep it under 4,500 RPM. So I don't know that for a fact. I'm just saying the product is amazing. You're not going to hurt the car.
Mhm.
So you're getting a lot of tire size questions here. David asked what size tires on the TC cars.
So I don't know the tire size, to be honest with you. I could go look, but because we run a spec tire, right? So everybody runs the same size tire.
It's an 18-inch.
It
Is
is
it
18.
by
Yeah.
right or 18
On
Yeah.
the TC car is 18-inch tire, yes.
by what?
18 by
9.
9 wheel.
Yeah.
Okay. And on the regular TCA cars.
It's a 17 by on a 17 by 8.5 wheel.
Okay.
I think Charlie's
No, I'm
right.
sorry, 8
65
by 8.
and it's 45.
Yeah, Charles
Oh.
Schuster said
Yeah.
265s,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right.
TCA's 245s.
There you
There
go.
we go.
Yeah.
I guess attention.
Yeah, to which David Patterson goes, holy smoke. Yeah, so big tires. That's probably why you guys
Yeah.
have to have camber on the front of those things to keep those tires from like hitting the wheel arches.
No,
Yeah.
they're fine actually. They fit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the TC
You can
is
rub
not an
them.
issue,
Rub
but
it.
the TC is a big tire.
That's why you have those giant wheel arches. Now, speaking of the TC car, I did notice you facelifted that one again. So you had the original front end on it, but then you put the new JCW front bumper and grille on it.
Yeah, I mean, the car was originally GP3 inspired. It wasn't a GP3, and that's how we built it to begin with. But honestly, I love the look of the 2022 JCW. I think the brake inlets and the rad inlets are more efficient, to be honest with you. Don't know that for a fact. I just I look at something and my brain says, "Oh, that's better." But I just love the look. I mean, the look of the 2022 JCW is awesome. To me, it looks more like the Classic Mini because the Classic Mini has a grille all the way around. So it's like a modern Classic. So yeah, I don't know. I just love it. So
as opposed to what everyone thought when the new Cooper S, when we saw the new Cooper S, everyone goes like, "Oh, it has a Fu Manchu mustache on the front of it," and I'm looking at the front of the car. I'm like, I see the silhouette of a Classic Mini grill on the front of the car.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't need that big a grill because most of the air comes through for those cars comes through the bumper section. Nothing really comes through the top sections of the grill.
Right.
So it's decorative, but at the same time, it also serves a function.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great looking car, and we had to update the splitter, so we took advantage of the whole thing,
It just went all out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And remember too, right? So we got to carry spare parts, and for us, it's very difficult to carry different spare part, the same part but different for both cars. So
Yeah.
another reason to have all the same spare parts, right? So
So the same headlights, the same bumpers, the same hoods, the same.
Yeah.
I mean, if everything was different, then it would just kind of throw you guys off. It's like, yeah, we have to have all these extra parts, all this extra space.
Yeah.
So David has lots more questions. What are things you typically change for different tracks?
Man, I mean, we're talking about setup wise, not much. Just a little bit of a damper adjustment and maybe some bars here or there. But the car, we went through years of changing springs at the beginning in our endurance days, and we always come back to what is in the car now. So we haven't changed spring combination for the last 4 or 5 years, I guess. I don't know. We just have one set of springs that works everywhere. We run really good dampers, right, compared to our competitors. I talked about this earlier in our stream where, every race bit that's in the car is the best I can find in the market. And we have been very fortunate to be supported by KW Suspensions. They build our shocks custom for us. It's a proper race shock compared to what's in the other brands. And so all our adjustability is really in the dampers, and a little bit of, we have 1 or 2 positions available on the front and rear bars, and then obviously cambers here and there, but that's really in the dampers and bars.
So he does have one more question. He said, "Why does the TC car look like it sits higher than the TCA cars?"
Well, first of all, because of the size of the tire, and then so that automatically makes it taller, and then BOP, right? So we were lower originally. Literally for Sebring, they made us go up another 10 mils. You know, they're trying to take performance away from our car because their data shows that our car is superior. So they tried to adjust it, and you know, when you raise the car, you change the center of gravity, the CG point on the car. So yeah, our mini TC looks like a moon rover, and it has enough space to put 33-inch off-road tires on it. But it doesn't matter. It's still the fastest car out on the track.
Imagine putting larger wheels on already on a car already has gigantic wheel arches and everything on it all.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Rob and I joke about how our, you know, I hate it because it, you know, I don't even need to put it on blocks. I can just crawl underneath the car. It's so tall.
Yeah.
You know? And you know, and they'll keep we run out of we ran out of adjustments, so I had to put spacers to lift it, and I won't be surprised that they continue to dumb the car down. But
next thing you know, you'll be able to just crawl directly under the car without it even being with like have plenty of room under the car.
I'll get to use what do you call it, a creeper?
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Right now,
the car is sitting completely on all four wheels. We'll
Right.
just slide right under it on a creeper.
Next ride height adjustment, I'll be able to throw a creeper under, and I won't have to drag my body.
I guess their next BOP is going to need to be done to Clay, because I would say that I think Clay is a very important part of this season, definitely with the TC car. He's quick, he's adapted well, and he has good feedback, right? You need a driver that has really good feedback so you know what to do with your car, and I think Clay has done a big job this season with coming in with a car that's really not that developed yet and help develop it to what it is now. So I would give big props to Clay on what he's done this season for the short amount of time he's been in the car.
Well, now you've managed to answer a question that a lot of people have asked apparently during the TC America live streams is it's fast and why is it so high?
Yeah, it's just the balance of performance. I mean, you know, it's high, like I said, because of the size of the tire, it's already high.
Yeah.
Right.
But they keep, you know,
Raising it.
It's
Gonna be a rally car here soon.
it's already. I mean,
Hey,
Yeah, it is.
There's another racing venue you can go into.
And we would probably still
top mini rally cars.
and we would still beat Subaru in that, just like we beat Subaru in TC America. So
Now, has Subaru TC America? I know they have the BR, so they have the BRZ. Do they have they done a WRX race car yet for TC America?
Someone has done the WRX. That they made a TCR car years ago, and it doesn't make a very good race car. It makes a good rally car. Does not make a good road racing car, unfortunately. There was the older generation in IMSA when I think the year before we went in, they ran a GS STI, so it was comparable to like a GT4 car now. It's just they're not good road racing cars, unfortunately.
So they're better at jumping over bumps and over crests and into turns.
That's their DNA, you know.
Yeah.
The rally, you know.
Yeah, they can't do road racing. They can do autocross incredibly well, but they can't do road course racing very well.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think we've actually managed to get through all the questions and comments on the side of the screen in the course of an hour and a half. So.
Man, this has been the longest one. It's actually been a little fun. I didn't even realize it's been an hour and a half, but
yeah.
Well,
Lewis, I think you need a sixth driver soon.
I know.
So we'll make them longer.
2
again.
hours.
Yeah, if you have a sixth driver, it'll just add to it. It'll be this live stream will be even longer because my original thumbnail for the video had 3 cars on it. I didn't know he was building 2 more.
Yeah. I want to add real quick, and we'll maybe end the show here. But
Yeah.
you know, we don't talk about this very often, but the guys would probably agree that you know, I've been partnered up with one of my best friends in racing, and it's Rob, and the guy's brilliant, right? So when it comes to data, there's nobody in the industry that I know of that can read data as good as he does. And, we never talk about it. So a lot of the success too, besides the brand that we run, the quality of the chassis, our drivers, and, our passion for racing. Rob and I have been racing together for almost 20 years. And I met him in IndyCar. He came to work for the team that I was working with, and he was fresh out of college. And we've been together racing around the world, really, and everything together, and been very successful at it. And that's probably one of the biggest secrets of our team is, every driver that's raced with us for a while or, for a season has gone home with a trophy. And Rob really has, he's not a driver coach, but because of the data, the way he reads it, he can really pinpoint out, each driver's weaknesses, or not weaknesses, but where he can improve. Right. And I don't think a lot of teams have that, and so I don't know, the guys probably agree with me. I'm sure they do, but
yeah,
and he's not into being in the camera, in the limelight. He will hide from our photographer, and he will hide from, anyway, the TV people or whatever, but he's awesome, and he's the reason why we're so successful.
I agree 100%. I mean, I've been with a lot of different teams, a lot of different crews, and Rob is just an absolute genius. I love sitting up with him in the office, going over the data. The knowledge that he has it's like nothing else I've ever seen. So
it's incredible.
Brilliant, and we're so lucky to have him as a part of the team, and I guess team owner as well with Lewis. So it's really cool, and that's a part of what makes this entire team the best in the paddock. From the enthusiasm from the crew to Lewis as the owner, with Christian, Clay, Elaine, all the teammates and everything, with Rob and Tony, it's the best environment to be a part of in the paddock, and I'm so very lucky to be a part of this team.
It's very much of a family. Just coming from I've known Lewis for a long time, and we've been communicating, been to the races, but from being on the inside, I can tell you, this is truly a family. Everybody works at it like if it was a family, and that's how they're treated. So it's great environment.
Awesome.
Thanks. Yeah.
Well, some little bit of information before we head out. I am bringing each of you one of these hats. So one of you, please get on the podium. You'll each have one, and I'm probably going to even sign the bottom of the bill. So we'll have some of that. I am bringing 3 things for you guys, for the entire team to sign. One of them is a John Cooper Works steering wheel out for a car. It was a warranty one. They apparently had a scratch on the back, so they removed it from the vehicle. So I'm going to be bringing that. The plan is to have a photo of the entire team mounted on the center of it. We're going to hang it in the showroom at the mini dealership in KC.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's cool.
Very cool.
I'm also bringing you guys a damaged sunroof panel that was wrapped in a Union Jack flag. It was originally on the roof of, if you've ever heard of a guy named Todd Pearson, he does all the vinyl on every Mini across the country. And it was on his car when a rock flew into it and shattered it. It held together because it's auto glass, but it also held together because of the vinyl. It's signed by Tony Hawk, and the dealership manager wants to have the racing team sign it.
That's funny that you say it. The yellow car is also signed by Tony Hawk.
Well, there you go. I was going to bring an entire dash panel for my car to have you guys sign, but I think I may just have you guys sign the actual dash panel in the car, because I looked at I got the price quote for a new dash panel, and they are expensive. So I was like, I might just have them actually sign the actual like center, like the piano black dash panel in the car. So we have little John Cooper logo right next to it, and we'll just have all the John Cooper Works Racing Team signatures in the car.
Sounds cool.
But the other thing we're going to be bringing is if you've ever been to dealerships where you see the color wall where they have all the colors. I'm going to have it with me. It's one of the colors that's being discontinued. So it's a pepper white tile from the color wall, because pepper white, enigmatic black, and white silver are being discontinued. So
Nice.
I'll be bringing one of those color tiles as well. The sales manager might have some other stuff. He's a big mini aficionado, mini fan. He has his SDLO JCW sitting in the showroom that he's modifying the heck out of.
Bring him.
Yeah,
Good.
I would, except he has to work. And he also has a 2002 R50 Cooper in British Racing Green. It was one of the first ones sold at the mini dealership in Kansas City. So he owns it now, and it's sitting in the showroom on display, so people can see one of the originals sitting in there, next to all the brand new cars that come and go into the showroom. So lots of cool stuff. Yeah, I'll be bringing all this stuff to sign, so I'm gonna have to make sure it doesn't get damaged in the back of my car on my trip over there. So
it's good.
But yeah. So my plan is to arrive next week, basically early afternoon next week, and I know where I'm heading straight to. I'm heading straith to the shop because first thing I got to get there. You can't miss me. It's a bright green JCW with circled Miniac logos on the doors, so it should be easy to spot.
I know what it looks like.
Yeah,
perfect.
I know what it looks like. Question is, what wheels are you going to show up with?
What was that?
What wheels are you going to show up with?
Oh, don't remind me.
That's like a girl with the shoes. He doesn't know which shoes to put on.
Well, let me see. The car has had the stock wheels on it. It's had the RSE 12s on it from New Speed. It's had the RSE 11Rs on it from New Speed, and it's had OZ Rally Racing wheels on it. So it's been through so many different iterations, and I ended up getting rid of the RSE 11R. So those now belong to a Instagram, the guy who posts on Instagram. He has a Rebel Green JCW Clubman over in New Jersey, and he also has a retractable hardtop, the Targa top Mazda MX-5. So he has two fun cars, but he has those wheels now. They're going to become his winter wheels for his JCW Clubman. I still have the white OZs. And the wheels that are currently on the car, the wheels that are currently on the car are the RSE 12s, the silver ones. My only complaint with them is I think the tread blocks on the Michelins are feathering. When I drive down the road, it sounds like thumping, lots of thumping. It's the most irritating thing in the world. I want to get rid of them and put Continentals on the car as soon as possible.
You must be hitting a lot of potholes or something.
Well, that was the reason that I took the wheels off. I actually bent one of those wheels when I hit. It wasn't a pothole. It was an expansion joint on a bridge. It was so hot that day that the rubber had actually expanded up above the road surface. And I hit it going 70 miles per hour. Didn't even see it. Hit it hard enough that it popped the wiper stalk up. I'm driving along, hit this thing hard, and the wiper stalk just flips itself up. So I'm like, that was interesting. Actually ended up snapping the leveler for the headlight on that side.
No way.
So they had to replace that because I think the thing goes up and down like this, but apparently it wasn't prepared to do this.
Wow.
Yeah, we had a very similar thing on the railroad tracks by the shop. They were sitting where the metal of the railroad track was actually starting to stick completely out of the ground.
Yeah.
So
now I'm really, really paranoid. I had the wheel bent back into shape, and then we had new tires put on them. I had them force balanced at a local shop, but it's still making this noise. And I'm like, well, I'll just turn up the music and drive it on the highway. So I was trying to see if I could replace the tires before I headed out, and I wouldn't be able to get them in time to have them swapped for the new tires, or it was either that or look at some new wheels and then get those with tires already mounted and then just ready to go. But actually, I had a friend who suggested that I mount a different wheel on each corner of the car. And amazingly, we're still friends. So
funny.
But
all right, guys. Well, what do you think?
I want to thank everybody for watching. Stick around just for a few minutes after we log off, obviously. But I want to thank everybody for watching. Everyone who's chatted with us. People from Mini Canada, great to chat with you all. People from Elaine's team. People from Lewis's team. Friends of Cristian. It was a great live stream. Lots of people were on here. But I wanted to thank everybody for watching. What else do I need to do? Oh, housekeeping. So if you're looking for accessories, check out one of my sponsors, outmotoring.com. Use code Miniac5 for a 5% discount. If you're looking for vinyl for your vehicle, go to motoringstripes.com. 5% discount code is Miniac. And as always, because I say this all the time, life is too short to drive a boring car. So, team, what do?
Drive a Mini.
Drive a Mini.
We drive minis. There we go. So great chatting with you all. The next live stream is actually going to be live in Indianapolis, so you won't want to miss that. And we will see you all soon.